Once, a logo was a symbol, simple, static, and timeless. Today, it's a motion-driven tool designed not to represent a brand, but to dominate your visual space. From screens to interfaces, motion branding is omnipresent. This study examines its trajectory, its role in UI and UX, and its deeper implications in digital branding ecosystem. Motion branding emerged from a world of kinetic art and experimental cinema. Figures like Marcel Duchamp and Walter Ruttmann explored movement as visual language. As designer Kyle Cooper notes, motion gives form to emotion and narrative. It's a visual voice. In the mid-20th century, the commercial sector adopted this language as seen in film title sequences designed by Saul Bass, whose work blurred the line between narrative and identity. What started as an expression quickly became a strategy. As the television industry blossomed, the need for visual storytelling that could capture fleeting attention became paramount. Title sequences evolved not just as introductions, but as mood setters, atmospheres, and brand pillars. This early synthesis of motion and message laid the groundwork for what we now recognize as motion branding. Corporate entities recognized the persuasion power of movement. NBC's Peacock and the CBS's Eye were among the earliest examples of logos engineered for attention. These animations weren't just branding, they were early experiments in visual influence. The goal wasn't just to be seen, but to be remembered. As branding scholar Alina Wheeler suggests, motion enhances meaning. It provides energy to identity. The use of motion wasn't limited to logos. Commercials and station IDs became mini masterpieces of animated branding. The dynamic visual elements helped the networks establish emotional connections with audiences. This emotional branding, imbued with rhythm, sound, and motion, paved the way for today's experience-driven design. The momentum has only increased. In today's environment, motion branding is seamlessly woven into our digital interfaces, transforming not only identity systems, but also the very architecture of interaction. I've seen more and more of this during my research into creating an app and the aspects around it. Every app I see, and many of the interfaces I interact with, are laden with visual animations. Nothing is ever not moving. Digital tools democratize animation. Pioneers like John Whitney Sr. used military technology to create abstract computer animations, paving the way for motion graphics in corporate media. With tools like Adobe After Effects and Flash, motion entered websites, apps, and platforms. The result? Branding evolved into behavior. Subtle UI transitions, hover effects, parallax scrolling, visual signals now embedded in every user interaction. As motion designer George R. Canedo Estrada puts it, motion isn't just decoration, it's a function. Motion became the bridge between interaction and identity. Micro interactions and UI animations reinforced brand personality. Whether playful, luxurious, minimalist, or bold, in platforms like iOS or Android, transitions became a language of responsiveness. Yet with this proliferation came new challenges. How much motion is too much? Despite its visual appeal, motion branding poses challenges. This section evaluates how motion affects usability and accessibility. Overuse leads to distraction. Inconsistent animations result in confusion. And poorly timed transitions degrade usability. There's also the case where excess motion taxes the user's attention. Heavy animations slow down interfaces. Motion can trigger vestibular issues in sensitive users, and flashy transitions often mask poor interaction design. Research by Nielsen Norman Group found that motion can enhance or disrupt UX, depending on context and user expectations. UX designer and researcher Jared Spool emphasizes, design isn't about making things pretty, it's about making things work. When motion prioritizes spectacle over service, we lose sight of user needs. As I delve more into my work, I am once more reminded of other aspects of excessive motion in the industry, mobile games. The bloated interfaces full of FOMO offers with the predatory intent of squeezing as much money they can out of their customers. The animated special deals are always jingling in your face. The purpose of motion design can vary: to ease consumer interaction or to enforce capitalistic greed. Progressive brands are codifying motion within design systems. Rather than decorative, motion becomes functional, guiding users, confirming actions, creating rhythm. This intentional use aligns branding with experience, producing clarity rather than confusion. Design systems from Google's Material Design to IBM's Carbon Framework now embedded motion as principle of behavior, not just appearance. These systems treat motion as a signal, helping users orient, navigate, and interact smoothly. Yet the question persists: is motion branding driven by genuine utility, or has it become a performative gesture in a race for attention? A prominent UX designer, Jared Spool, mentions, "Good design is invisible." Motion branding is evolving with technology. AI now generates branded animations on demand. AR and spatial interfaces introduce persistent, responsive branding in physical environments. These advancements raise important questions. Where does branding end and interface begin? And who controls the narrative in the environment saturated with motion? As philosopher Byung-Chul Han notes, in a world driven by visibility, branding becomes a regime of exposure. With motion becoming ubiquitous, the ethical boundaries between engagement and manipulation grow increasingly blurred. This saturation of branding into every experience also raises concerns around data, surveillance, and persuasive design. In immersive environments like VR, motion branding isn't just visual. It can be felt, experienced, and reacted to instinctively. Where does identity end, and where does influence begin? Motion branding is no longer just a tool. It's an experience layer embedded in every corner of digital life. As designers, researchers, and users, we must examine its impact. Thoughtful motion can enhance clarity and connection, but unchecked, it risks reducing identity to spectacle. The challenge ahead is not how much we can animate, but how meaningfully we choose to. The future of branding isn't just visual, it's ethical, functional, and responsible.